to why the child was unconscious. It was as if God swept down and said, "Time for you to take a little nap, sweetheart." Maybe, just maybe, with the skills of the surgical staff, Bethany would live to ride again. So Monica hoped. Back in the ER, the noise of the department swelled up inside of her until her ears rang with the energy of the room. New patients moved into the halls, while others walked, rolled, or limped their way out. Just another day. She loved it. All of it. Well, most of it, anyway. There were some things she didn't love about her job at Pomona Valley Hospital, like the sunken eyes of a loved one when they learned that someone hadn't made it, or the politics that forced non-emergent cases into the ER on a daily basis. Understaffing, union battles. Okay, maybe she didn't love all of her job. The computerized board indicated a couple of vacant rooms and highlighted a number of patients in the waiting room. Seemed like the number of patients in need always outnumbered available space. There were 2 ER doctors on, a dozen nurses, and several EMTs. Monica nodded to the clerk, Nancy, and asked, "Do we have any runs coming in?" "Nope." Nancy had an ear to the phone and was simultaneously entering orders for the doctors into the computer system. They'd yet to go paperless. Most of the hospital was completely computerized, but so far, the ER had resisted the change. Monica couldn't wait for a shift in management to recognize the benefits of computerizing and streamlining their system. Anything to help move people through faster. Monica grabbed a chart from the rack and moved to the lobby door to call in the patient. She glanced at the name the triage nurse had written on the assessment, recognized the name, and cringed. Owens. She looked at the complaint. Stomach pain. Gary Owens was a frequent flyer who didn't have a mileage card. He visited the ER no less than once a week, most of the time coming through the back door via ambulance. The man was an alcoholic who'd brushed aside death more times than Monica could count. The man had a death wish. As much as Monica hated herself for thinking it, she wished he would just get it over with already. It was hard to feel sorry for someone who self-inflicted nearly every medical problem he ever had. Mustering an ounce of propriety, she opened the door to the lobby and glanced over the eager faces of the waiting patients who deserved her attention. Don't pass judgment, Mo. Too late. Owens. Gary sat 3 rows back with crying children on both sides of him. His head was dipped into his chest. His eyes were closed. "Owens?" she said louder. He didn't even look up. The bastard was asleep, probably drunk. Unable to avoid the inevitable, she moved past the door and walked over to the man, smelling him long before she shook his shoulder. "Gary?" He startled awake, glanced around the room. His expression softened when he realized where he was, and he stood with a slight waver. Monica had no desire to have him drag her to the floor, which might injure her back and put her out of work. "Do you need a wheelchair?" He swallowed and met his glassy eyes to hers. "I'm good. Fine." After a moment, he followed her back into the busy ER where she led him into a private room, one where he'd probably sleep for the better part of the night. Abdominal pain workups often took hours, and they'd likely find nothing inside they could help mend, which meant he'd go out and drink himself back again next week. Monica shook the thought from her head. It wasn't easy. She thought of the child in OR fighting for her life, and here this man was pissing his life away. Without a smile, Monica walked Gary to a room and pointed toward the gurney and the hospital gown sitting on top of it. "You know the drill, Gary." He nodded and started to undo his shirt. Monica left him to inform the ER doctor of Gary's presence. "Walt?" Dr. Walter Walt, Eddy, would be just as thrilled with Gary's presence as she was. Walt glanced up from the chart in his hands and offered a smile. "Yeah, Gary Owens is in room 16. Walt rolled his eyes, something she'd refrained from doing. She grinned.